Well done. So we're coming into Adho Mukha Virasana, Adho Mukha Svanasana, Uttanasana. If you don't know the names, really don't worry about it. I'm going to show first. Now, if you can't do Adho Mukha Virasana because of knee problems, then please do look at the alternative and do this seated onto a chair. So the first pose, Adho Mukha Virasana, this is which you'll do on the chair if your knees don't allow you to fold in this way. You extend your hands forwards, release your head down. So just watch for a moment. I'm going to demonstrate all three and then we'll do together. Come up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, dog head down, and then you're going to walk forwards. Now your hands can come onto your thighs, onto your shins, or onto the floor, but the back must remain flat in this position. Okay, so we're going to start out Adho Mukha Virasana. Those working on the chair, just extend forwards to another chair or to some bricks. So have your toes together, your heels apart, sit back on your heels. If there's difficulty with the buttocks staying back on the heels when you come forwards, then put a foam pad there, put a bolster there, put a blanket or a cushion if your bottom lifts away from your heels. Now, as you come forwards, for many people, they're all right until they get to this point, and then when they try to take the head onto the floor, the buttocks pop up like that. So if that's the case with you, then you put some foam pads or a couple of cushions under your head so that you can support your head. Some of you will be able to do this and just get the head to the floor and keep the buttocks down. So extend the breastbone forwards, just look forwards towards your hands, make sure your middle finger is pointing directly forwards, that your wrists and your elbows are lifting off the floor, and that your hands are shoulder width apart. Now lift and lengthen your breastbone towards the narrow end of your mat, and then again release your head down. So now look forwards, come up onto your hands and knees. Keep that middle finger pointing forwards, fingers spreading. You're going to tuck your toes under and lift your sitting bones up towards the ceiling. So tuck the toes under, feet hip width apart, lift the sitting bones up. Keep your heels lifted, don't try and put your heels down at this stage. Keep your abdomen lifting towards your spine, and imagine there was a rope around the top of each of your thighs, pulling your thighs back. But the lift of the abdomen, the lift of the sitting bones is very important in this action. Breathe, fine inhalation, exhalation through the nostrils. So with any of the poses, there shouldn't be pain, and if you need to come out of them sooner, then you come out of them sooner. Walk your feet towards your hands. If you've got very tight hamstrings, your legs will bend at this point, and that's fine. So you can have your feet so that the outer edges of the feet line up with the outer edges of the mat, and be precise about that. Line them up. Your hands can come onto your shins, or they can come onto your thighs, or they can come onto the floor, but we are lifting and extending the sitting bones and moving in the dorsal spine. I'm just going to show on the screen, that's this area here. Between the shoulder blades has to be moving in. For many people, it becomes a C shape on the back when they come into this pose because of tightness throughout the body. All right, so slowly, slowly lifting up to come out of the action. Stand in Tadasana, inner edges of the feet together, pressing down into the outer foot bones, stretching down with the fingertips, extending up with the crown of the head. And breathe. Fine inhalation, fine exhalation. So I'm just going to show you Utkatasana, which we're going to use the chair for to start with. I'm putting those foam pads close to the front of the chair. So I want you to stand so that your legs just touch the front seat of the chair. Now that might be slightly different depending on what chair that you're using. And we're going to swing up and bend. so that we're just not sitting on the chair but just grazing the backs of the thighs. So that might mean that you have to put more foam pads on there if you're using foam pads. If you don't have foam pads, don't worry about it, just imagine that you're sitting down towards the chair. Standing in Tadasana, mountain pose, toes spreading, inner edges of the feet together. Make sure that you're not turning your toes out. Tailbone is long, chest is lifted. So inhale, as we stretch the arms up, we bend the knees. So inhale and bend the knees and see, can you come down? Can you come down? Can you touch the backs of the thighs to the foam pads? Keep the ears between the arms, lift your chest, lengthen your tailbone, take the weight back into your heel bones, breathe. And coming up, okay, well done. Roll the shoulders back and down. So we're just going to move the chair out of the way now. We're going to come back into that pose and see, can we come down into an Utkatasana action? I'm putting a couple of foam pads here. You can use bricks, they're probably a bit more stable than the foam pads, so I'm just going to show. So we come into our Utkatasana, 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 and you see, can you fold? Your hands might come to the floor, they may need to come onto these foam pads. Draw the shoulder blades down, extend the breastbone forwards, and lift your sitting bones up. Now, if you do have tight hamstrings, those foam pads will not be enough, so you would, in that case, put your chair here. So you've got a bit more height and you can take your hands onto the seat of the chair when you come up. Don't be frightened of the fact that your hamstrings are tight. That's why you're here in the yoga class, is to improve where your tightnesses are, to strengthen where your weaknesses are, to improve your mobility but also your strength. Okay. So tailbone long, chest lifted, and inhale. Bend your knees, stretch your arms up. So imagine that chair was still there. You're sitting back onto the chair, the weight comes back into the heels, the ears stay between the arms, the chest lifts. You breathe, and then you see, can you take your hands down either to your chair or to your bricks foam pads or to the floor, and you lift your sitting bones up. Extend the breastbone forwards, kneecaps lifting, frontal thighs lifting. Don't come lower than your body allows. Just breathe. Okay, and slowly coming up. Well done. So we're going to come, everybody now, to an Uttanasana to the chair, because we're going to work a little bit on getting this lift and extension through the sitting bones. So what I want you to do, I'll just show first of all, is stand with the feet hip width apart. You're going to lift these frontal pelvic bones up and take your hands down to the seat of the chair. So some of you will be able to get lower than this, I know, but we're not working on that at the moment. So what I want you to do is press down into the seat of the chair, and you're going to lift your heels up. Now when you put your heels down, you're not just putting your heels down, you're lifting your heels up, you're lifting all of the soft tissue fibre, and when the heels come down, it's the bones that release down, all of the soft tissue fibre stays lifting up. Okay, harder than it looks. So stand with your feet hip width apart. Get this action of the weightedness of the bones. It's as though your bones are filling with water, and all of this soft tissue fibre is like a pair of tights that you're lifting up. Roll your shoulders back and down and put your fingertips here on the front of your pelvic bones. Keep those frontal pelvic bones lifted as you hinge at the hips. So hinge forwards, keep the frontal hip bones lifted, hinge forwards. Take your hands down to the seat of your chair. So you can use a sofa seat, a stool, whatever you've got. A couple of bricks if you don't have a chair. All right, shoulder blades down towards your back waist. Collarbones forwards towards the back of your chair. Now come up onto your toes. Lift your heels, lift your heels, lift your kneecaps, lift your thigh muscles, lift your sitting bones, lift your frontal pelvic bones. You might get a bit of cramp in your calves. Just look at your feet, make sure that your heels are even, that you're not swinging your heels out, you're lifting them directly up. So keep that lift, keep that lift, keep that lift. As you start to release the bones down, don't release the soft tissue fibre. So kneecaps lifting, thigh muscles lifting, shin muscles lifting, calf muscles lifting, but the bones are weighted and starting to release to the floor. So this encourages the abdominal lift that we need to come into these very strong forward folds. Okay, and slowly lifting up. Well done. Okay, so we're going to come now into an Uttanasana again. I'm going to use bricks this time, although you can keep the chair if you want to. And we're going to take a belt and place it around the shins. Now, if you don't have a belt, use a dressing gown cord. If you don't have anything, then don't use anything. That's absolutely fine. It just gives you a bit more action on the legs if you have a yoga belt. So if you're doing these classes regularly, do invest in a bit of kit. Okay, so I'm pushing out to this belt. So the belt is not just loosely around my shin bones, it is making an indentation into my calf muscles, which you may or may not be able to see on the screen. So I'll just show how we're going to work. You're going to press out to that belt, press out to that belt, fold forwards, get all of those actions that we got in the previous way of working. And the hands can again come down onto the seat of the chair if the bricks are a little bit too low, or you can put some foam pads underneath your bricks. So, toe spreading, outer edges of the feet really pushing down, inner ankles lifting up, push to your belt, tailbone long. Roll your shoulders back and down and keep that frontal pelvic bone lifting. Right here at the front, lifts, lifts, lifts. All of this soft tissue fibre on the legs lifts. The weighted action of the bones remains as you take your hands down to your bricks. Then once you're on your bricks, you work again. You push your shin bones out to that belt. Again, you might get a bit of cramp in your feet, in your ankles, in your shin muscles, in your calf muscles. So lift your sitting bones up, lift your abdomen towards the spine, push that belt as though you're trying to break it, and lengthen your breastbone forwards and draw your shoulder blades towards your back waist. Okay, and slowly coming up, right, and you can take the belt off your shins now. So we're coming into Prasarita Padottanasana. We're going to use the belt again if you have one. If you don't, then don't worry, just work without. So I'm just going to show. You can use your bricks for Prasarita Padottanasana if you need to. So we're pressing down into the outer foot bones, lifting up with the inner thighs, and you fold forwards, taking your hands onto your bricks or onto the floor underneath your shoulders. Okay, so let's give that a go. So first of all, put your belt on if you're using it. When you put your belt on, you want to have it around the outer foot bones. So there is a bone between the front bones of the feet and the back bones of the feet. There's a joint there, and you want to have the belt onto that joint if you're using the belt. Then make sure that your feet are facing forwards. When you take your arms out, your feet should be more or less underneath your wrists, so you do need a long belt for this. Tailbone becomes long and heavy, frontal pelvic bones lift up. Same thing, all of this soft tissue fibre lifts while the bones ground down. So get those actions, and then we're going to come forwards. So keep the lift here, keep the lift here, come forwards, shoulder blades moving down, take your hands to the floor, underneath your shoulders or onto bricks if it's difficult getting to the floor. There should be no sensation of pulling to the inner knees, but some students do get that sensation here on this inner thigh area. So if you do, you have to work more at pushing these inner thighs away from one another. So the adjustment we would give would be we would come to one side and pull here with a rope or a belt to give this movement of the inner thigh to the thigh bone. So breathe, push those inner thighs to the thigh bones and push the thigh bones to the outer thighs. Keep the frontal pelvic bones lifted up so you don't use your lumbar spine for this. We want to keep the navel moving towards the spine. So when we come up, you're going to really have to use your legs. So release your hands from your bricks or the floor and place them onto your frontal pelvic bones and use your legs to lift you. Strong action. Heel toe your feet together. Come into Tadasana. Inner edges of the feet together. Roll the shoulders back and down and breathe. We're going to come into Parvatasana now. So I'm just going to show, you're going to interlock your fingers, turn the palms and take them up by your ears. So interlock the fingers, right little finger on the outside, make sure that you're in a good Tadasana. So inner edges of the feet together, weight even over the whole of the sole of the foot. Kneecaps lifting, thigh muscles lifting. Turn your palms inside out, keep your fingers firmly interlocked and inhale, extend the arms up, keeping your ribs back. If you're very flexible in your lumbar spine, your ribs will want to pop forwards, so you have to control that and move them back. Release your arms down, change the interlock of the fingers, turn the palms, shoulders releasing down, inhale, extend your arms up. So keep that abdominal region back. Facial muscles, nice and smooth. You can even smile. Release the arms down. Well done. Roll the shoulders back and down. Stand in Tadasana. We're going to come now for the Pajva version of Adho Mukha Virasana. So again, you can work on the chair with the bricks and just take the bricks one side and then the other. So I'm just going to show you. This is Adho Mukha Virasana. So we can do the Pajva action where we stretch to one side, come back to the center. You can see I'm on my fingertips. Stretch to the other side. Then we're going to come back to the center. Then we're going to come into Adho Mukha Svanasana, dog head down, and then back again. Adho Mukha Virasana, just into the center. Okay, so let's do that one together. So sit back on your heels if you're able to. I'm just moving my mic around. It kind of gets in the way, the sound equipment, when we're doing these forward bends. So lift the frontal pelvic bones and hinge forwards. Those working onto the seat of the chair, stretch your hands forwards onto your bricks. So extend forwards again. If you need to have support underneath your head, between your buttocks and your heels, then please do take it. Rest the head down and breathe. So we're going to go to the right first. So lift your head, come up onto your fingertips, take your right hand to the outer edge of your right knee and take your left hand across the body. So it comes to the outside of the right side of the mat. So we're turning and lengthening through that left flank as we twist to the right. Breathe. Come back to the center and turning to the left. So now your left hand comes to about 15 centimeters to the side of your left knee, 6 inches to the side of your left knee, and take the right hand across and lengthen. So we're not trying to get the head to the floor here, we're just getting that length and opening in the side flank there. And breathing. Okay, bring the hands back to the center, flatten the palms, release the head.